Hello Pisces, welcome to your monthly forecast for the month of September 2017. This month is all about the preparation and the initiatory setup phase for the next chapter of our lives, which begins in October, as we have just stepped into a new portal. You may have heard about this. The new portal that opened up in August in the eclipse season, particularly with the new moon total solar eclipse in Leo that began on August 21st, right? In your 6th house in particular. But now we move into the Virgo season, which is all about the cleaning and the preparation and the harvesting and the preparing for whatever these changes, whatever this download, whatever this paradigm shift will be. And for you, Pisces, this is in your opposite sign, right? This is the cleaning up of self through relationships. This is the cleaning up of self through the other half of the story, through the mirror reflection, right? You're being offered a mirror this month that is having you look at everything that you are, right? Particularly in the beginning of the month, we have, especially on September 6th, we have the full moon in Pisces, in your own sign, conjuncting your own planet, Neptune, in your own sign, Pisces, which is retrograde, right? So lots of stuff to look at, right? Whenever we have a full moon in our sign, right, we have two main phases in the year for each and every one of us, for each and every one of our signs, right? We have the new moon, which sets the intention of whatever we are to become this year, right? And the full moon culminates it. And we had the new moon solar eclipse when the nodal axis was still in Virgo Pisces. We had the new moon solar eclipse in your own sign 6 months ago, February 26th, right? Which was the intention, the setting of new intentions for what you will become, right? It was a very confusing time. It was a very chaotic, somewhat all over the place, somewhat submersive time, right? I remember we had Mars square Pluto back then too, with Mars in Aries, and we were getting ready for Venus retrograde. So there was a lot going on, right? I'm sure you remember that time because it marked a point, right? It marked a point in, for you, it marked a point in setting the bar, right? Setting the bar for who you want to be, Pisces, not who you are or who you're becoming, right? Even though that's part of the story, right? That's part of the equation. That's ultimately the ideal, is for you to transform, as we do have Jupiter and Libra in your 8th house, the house of transformation, the house of regeneration, the house of peeling away the layers, right? Allowing you to become more real, become more authentic, become more purposefully you through your relationships, through the intimate bonding of your one-on-one relationships, right? Through the facing of the shadow. And you have been facing your shadow for the past 6 months, Pisces. And right now is the culmination of all that this story has been for you. Because with this full moon in your sign, this is the culmination of you, right? And with all of this energy too, because during this full moon, we have Mars moving into Virgo, and we have Mercury coming direct, which went retrograde in Virgo last month. It came direct in Leo and is now in Virgo again. So it came direct in your 6th house and then went back into your opposite sign. So there's a lot of pressure on you from your opposite sign, right? There's a lot of pressure on you to clean yourself up, Pisces, because you've been all over the place. You've been in, it's a natural state for you to be here, right? It's a natural state for you to be all over the place, for you to be scattered, for you to be egoless and directionless and somewhat murky, right? But in order to step into this new role that has you be here, actually be present, actually be in love, actually be part of the story, right? With the North Node in your 6th house, right? It's rooting you here, keeping you rooted here, right? You're needing to root yourself here for the next year. You're learning how to tie yourself, to anchor yourself to this world and not allow yourself to be drifted off into space anymore. because we need your energy, we need your dreams, we need your visionary qualities in order to work off of those dreams and manifest whatever it is that the other signs are creating, right? We need you to be a part of this story. You and Aquarius are going through something similar, but for you Pisces, this is all about cleaning up the past, cleaning up everything that you feel has brought you to this state, right? To this state that you're in, to this identity that has been somewhat cocooning you, right? You've had the South Node in your sign, which was clearing up a lot of your old identity and having you look at yourself from the other viewpoint, right? Having you look at a different way to be, helping you set a new standard, right? Setting a new standard for your life. Sorry about that, Pisces. So relationships have been having you look at yourself in a whole new way, having you set new standards for yourself in a whole new way, setting new standards for your identity, setting new standards for your life, setting new standards for how you create like a healthy regimen for your life. And this full moon marks this culmination point, right? It marks this culmination point in your identity. It marks this culmination point in how you are in this world, right? Because you're learning how to be here, you're learning how to be present, you're learning how to take care of yourself, learning how to take care of your health, learning how to be present with the ones that you love and be receptive and open to constructive criticism, right? With it being your opposite sign, Virgo, which is the the bearer of constructive criticism, helping you be more pure, be more refined, right? Creating a more sleek version of Pisces, like Pisces 2.0, right? And this full moon marks this culmination point where it is you making the pledge to be better, making the pledge to be better than you've ever been before, right? Making the pledge to come to a head with everything that has made you who you are up to this point, coming to a head with and coming face to face with the parts of yourself that are nebulous, right? The parts of yourself that are murky and chaotic, and perhaps even toxic, that are unclean, right? That are dirty even. And what makes it dirty is not just that you are dirty, Pisces. No. This energy is not coming from you. It's coming from what you have been receiving from your environment, right? What you have been taking on from your environment, what you have been allowing in from your environment, and allowing it to infiltrate your consciousness, right? You have Pluto having just stopped preparing to come direct at the end of this month in your 11th house, which is having you look at the part of the social groups that you're in, what you're a part of, right? The world that you inhabit. And whatever world you've been inhabiting up to this point, there are two sides to the coin, right? You have those who are good for you. You have those who have your back, who are constructively like helping you, guiding you, giving you feedback as far as how you can be better, right? How you can improve, how you can grow more, right? And then you have those on the other side of the equation, the shadow side of Virgo, which is the non-constructive criticism, right? Which is the blaming, the shame game, the criticism, the judgment, the harsh judgment, right? The regimented protocol, somewhat cookie cutter force of nature, right? Whatever this energy is, it is trying to get you to fit in a mold which you are not able to fit into, right? In which you have to break out of because it's toxic, right? Because it's been draining your energy, because it's non-creative, it's non-dynamic, it's something that's static, right? And it's something that is grueling, that is taxing on your self-worth, on your self-image, and your self-identity. And you have to make this distinction between who in your life fits into the first mold and who fits into the second, right? Who is a supporter of this new version of yourself, this Pisces 2.0 version that you're becoming, and who is a supporter and the investor of the Pisces 1.0 version, which is the toxic and the nebulous and the chaotic and the frenzy type of energy you've been living in up to this point. The murky waters. Who's keeping you in the murky waters, Pisces? It's all about who you surround yourself with. And you are having to learn how to be self-sufficient in a way that you are in hyper alertness with regard to where you invest your time and your emotional energy and your identity into, right? What do you invest yourself into? You have to invest yourself into the right areas, into the right relationships, into the right people, into the right things in your life, into who you actually want to become. You have to make this pledge, this promise within yourself and to those you love. You have to make this pledge. Otherwise, your life can become a downward spiral, right? If you continue to support this old identity, this old world, this is what's been draining you. So you have to clean up, right? And the cleanup starts here. It starts just by being here, just by being present. And so further in the month, we come to September 19th, right, which begins the new moon phase, the new moon in Virgo in your opposite sign, which will be opposing Chiron retrograde in your sign. So again, we come to the Virgo Pisces polarity, and Chiron being in your own sign, this is the wounding of self, right? This is the wounding of how you see yourself, Pisces, who you think yourself to be. This constant oscillation between who you think you are, what you think you ought to be, who people tell you you ought to be, and what you actually want to be, right? It's almost as if you have collected all of these different identities and put it into somewhat of a cauldron, in a pothole, right? And kind of been mixing it up, stirring it up, right? Mixing it together to create some of this somewhat of a jumbled mess of an identity. And the key to all of this, right? We have the new moon in Virgo in your opposite sign, which is setting an intention for a whole new way of being. As you have released the old habits, the old patterns, the old mindset that you've been living in, the old cocoon, as you shed the skin, right? And step into the new skin. And we have Mercury coming out of shadow at the same time as this happens, and Venus entering your opposite sign again. So we have all of this energy in your opposite sign. And this is having you look at everything, right? This new moon will also be squaring Saturn, which is at the top of your chart. It's having you look at everything, right? Look at the big picture of your life. The grand plan, right? And you're at a crossroads right now, Pisces. You have to make a decision between the old world and the new world, and you have to be completely dedicated to the world in which you want to inhabit, not which you feel obligated to inhabit, because that just starts a whole new pattern all over again, a whole new cycle that you want to break out of, right? An old addiction, right? You don't want to live in this state of addiction anymore. And in order to break that cycle, in order to break that pattern, that karmic pattern even, you have to make the plunge, make the leap, make the dive, make the leap of faith into the unknown. And even though it's not necessarily unknown, because it's a new moon in Virgo, which is a plan laid out. It's very concrete, very organized, very detailed and precise. It's not something that's murky like you're used to, which you're probably comfortable with, right? It's something that's very stick to the script, stick to the books, right? Like a nutrition plan, right? Something that's very detail oriented and regimented, right? It's hard to keep track of progress that isn't recorded, progress that isn't measured. You have to measure your progress. And to do this, you need a support system, right? You need people who have your back. You need people who are setting the schedules, the plans, the new intentions for you, right? Or with you. And to be better, this requires compromise. This requires you to meet it halfway, right? You can't just receive the script, receive the plan, receive the play-by-play without investing into it, right? Without giving it your all, without being here, right? You can't be in your head. You can't be in the future. You can't be in the past. You have to be here. You have to be present. You have to be intentional. You have to be conscious. You can't be drunk. You can't be half conscious. You can't be asleep, you know? You have to be awake. You have to be alert. You have to be fully in your senses, fully sober, fully awake, aware, and alive. Because this is what snaps you out of this hypnotic state that you've been in. And ultimately, it's just getting you to be more refined, more sleek. And the big thing about this is trust, right? Trusting in the plan, trusting in the purpose behind all of this, trusting in the intention behind all of this. And even though your sign is the sign of faith, is the sign of belief, is the sign that knows it is of a higher purpose, right? Knows that there is a higher form of consciousness living through all of us, right? Having all of us as its various multifaceted vessels, right? Even though you know you're a part of a grander play, Pisces. The trust comes in trusting in the natural process of life, right? Not just the higher cosmic purpose behind everything, not just the nebulousness of, you know, the universal plan, but the natural process that comes by way of our own intention as human beings. The natural process of our willpower, the natural process of sticking to the plan, the natural process of being here every day, getting up every day, taking care of yourself every day, doing the grind, the hustle, the work, and the growing pains that come with being a human being, right? Being a living, mortal, physical entity of flesh and bones, right? It takes hard work. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of sweat, right? It takes a lot of effort to be here, especially for you, Pisces, because you are not of this world, right? Not really. And it takes a lot of effort to be in this world because we don't necessarily like everything in this world, right? But if you want to change what's in your world, if you want to change who you are in this world, and you want to break out of the toxic patterns, you want to break out of the addictiveness of whatever this story has been, even though you know it's subtly been closing you down, right? It's been subtly draining your energy, and this is why you've never been able to transcend beyond it, even though you can hope and wish and dream it away all you want, but it never really goes away until you take the step to be here. And so the big crossroad for you, the big question for you is if you can trust in the natural process of whatever this next step is for you. And so we come to the end of the month. Between September 22nd through the 30th, we have the sun moving into Libra, which is shining a light on your 8th house, which is getting even more into the deep dark depths of whatever decision you're making now. You're getting behind the negotiable parts of it, right? Like you're committing to the plan, right? You're going to stick to the plan. And so what are the the parameters of that plan, right? What are the variables? What are the contract guidelines, right? You have to read the contract. You have to read everything that you're about to be a part of, because this is the new world you're entering into, right? This is the last month that Jupiter will be in Libra, expanding your transformation, right? And you know, transforming your identity through ripping apart all of the different layers of whatever these two fishes, these two sides of the story has been for you. You have to learn how to integrate both of the yin and the yang, Pisces. And to do this, you have to be okay. You have to be okay with letting go of what you cannot take with you into this next world. And even though you may be addicted to whatever it is, may or may not be, right? Even though you've come to identify with whatever it is, ultimately to get the fulfillment you want, to get to the happiness and peace that you ultimately want, and we're having Jupiter move into Scorpio next month, which is expanding this whole new area of your life you're stepping into, right? A whole new journey, a whole new adventure, right? But how grand this new adventure will be depends on you, depends on your ability to be transparent, your ability to rip all the layers out and look it straight in the face, look your shadow straight in the face, look at everything that you've hidden from yourself. Look at everything that you have compiled into this murky identity, right? And pick apart the layers that no longer work for you. Pick apart the layers that no longer serve you. Pick apart the layers that are bringing you to a state of mania versus peace, versus freedom, versus love, versus happiness, versus justice, versus fairness, versus love for yourself, right? Not endlessly giving of yourself to everything and everyone around you, right? Even though that's part of your role here. But if you want to be healthy, if you want to have boundaries, if you want to be discreet, if you want to be refined and a sleek version of yourself, Pisces, if you want to upgrade, then you have to set those parameters. You have to set those guidelines for yourself. You have to read the rules. You have to make your own rules. And these new rules that you set for yourself, you know, you don't even like rules, right? You don't like to set rules. You don't like to follow rules, but you have to set rules. You have to be here, so you have to stick to a schedule. You have to stick to a regimen. You have to make this decision, right? You have to commit to being healthy. You have to make the pledge from your heart. But these new rules are here to serve you, not for you to serve them. And this will be extra emphasized as we come to Jupiter opposing Uranus, which is one of the major conversations we'll be having in this entire year. Jupiter in your 8th house opposing Uranus in Aries retrograde in your 2nd house, which has been for the past several years now, since 2011. Uranus has been in Aries, and this is the last year that Uranus will be in Aries. And wherever you're growing in your identity, as far as your abilities, right, as far as the standards and the values you've set for yourself, wherever they have been subtly being reorchestrated, reconfigured, and set in new ways, right? Jupiter is the marking point right now, having you look at the grand scheme of things, having you look at how you must transform in order for your part to play to have meaningful significance, to have meaningful value and contribution. In order for your part to play in all of this to matter, you have to care about it. You have to care about it beyond just keeping the peace, right? Beyond just keeping the facade of whatever you've deemed yourself to be up to this point, right? You have to be utterly transformed and be okay with being utterly transformed just by sticking to your own rules, sticking to your own values. You have to stick up for yourself. And this is the bond between yourself and perhaps another, or the other half of your being, right? Where you've been living as one side of the yin yang symbol, right? One fish, where you've been living as one fish, Pisces. You have to look at the other fish, the other half of yourself, and make a contract, make a bond, make a intimate union, a formalized, legalized bond between the two halves of your being, in order for you to see that, no, I'm not just a soul, I'm not just a spirit. I don't just have spiritual needs, I also have physical needs. I also have desires of the flesh and blood, right? Ooh, right? Even though there can be a lot of guilt surrounding this aspect of yourself that is afraid of having desires that are not to everyone's liking, right? That are not to the standards of others, right? That don't serve others, right? Because your sign is the sign that merges into the all, into the collective, right? You are the ocean itself. And when your desires kind of contradict that, when your desires are actually individual, you kind of repress your own desires. And this is when they become toxic. This is when you leave because your desires aren't being fulfilled. But this is only because you're not paying attention to yourself. This is only because you're not paying attention to the other half of your story, which is you are a physical being with human needs, and you have to pay attention to it. You have to make your own rules for it. You have to make the bond between your spiritual side and your physical side, and you have to integrate them. You have to find a way to meet in the middle. You have to find a way to make it harmonize together before you can step into this higher, much more grandiose, much more centered and purposeful adventure that you're getting ready to embark upon as Jupiter enters into Scorpio next month. So, Pisces, there's a lot of work that goes into this, right? I wish you the best of luck, and in your cleanup phase, as all of the signs are cleaning up right now. But for you, I know this is particularly difficult because you are the sign of the one and the all, right? It's not necessarily easy for you or for my sign, which is Aquarius, to be here, right? To be physical, to be practical, to be living in the mundane world, right? It's not something that comes natural to the Pisces archetype. But this is ultimately what you need. And once you do, your world explodes, your world transforms, and you can go on those adventures you've always been wanting to go down, right? Because the merging of the spiritual and the physical allows for ultimate manifestation of whatever you see and whatever you desire. So Pisces, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you all have a wonderful month. Be sure to check out your sun, your moon, and your ascendant/rising sign to gather more information that is relevant to your particular birth chart. And if you would like a personal reading with me, I do have links in the description below for you to be able to do so. So, Pisces, again, I hope you all have a wonderful month. And to mentally prepare for what's to come in October, because there's a lot that we're getting ready to step into. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next month in October.